Hello and welcome to another Rightly Witterings with me, Michael Jex, the tea drinking author, and I've been asked to talk about what I've just received. This is one of those fascinating things. It is a set of papers from Paper Republic. Hunting in my pocket for a Swiss Army knife to open an Austrian package. So let's see what's inside. I think for safety reasons I'm going to do this out of sight. I'm sure you don't want the sight of blood. But I had to have some blood tests done yesterday, which means that I've given enough blood already this week. It is opened, not unopened, you damn fool. So, what's inside? I will show you. First of all, there is a bit of paper that tells me what I bought. How kind! Second of all, and this is something I always appreciate from Paper Republic, there's one of these, which is a little note to say thank you and have a great day, be inspired. I keep these because they're all slightly different. So, for example, last week I had that one, which is just rather nice. So what have I ordered this time? Well, let's hope I ordered the right stuff for once. That one's correct. Good. So, what I've got here is two of each. I have got two of these. What are they? These are the Dibdal Paper Republic Dibdal, very strange name, but it's a company that works with Paper Republic and they produce these little books. Now, they're little notebooks. 96 pages, which I assume means that they're 46 leaves. But what I like is that you open them out and they stay opened out. Right, this is brand new. You saw me, I've just taken it out of the box. So just one wipe down and you've got an absolutely flat notebook to write on. And what I really like about these is the line spacing is 7mm. Now I've used 6mm, I've used 5mm, and I find them increasingly difficult to use. These 7mm notebooks are much better. I also love the fact that they've got this string binding and it's glued, which is the reason why they open out so beautifully. They're just wonderful little notebooks, and they've got some of the best paper you can ever write on if you are, like me, a fountain pen user. What else have I got? Well, I've got some other books, exactly the same sort of format, with the string down the back so that they open up beautifully. The difference is these are 150 GSM for sketching. I've used a couple of these. They're ideal for watercolour sketching when you're out and about. They're very smooth, so they're not perfect if you're used to a slightly rougher surface like I am for my watercolours. They're not perfect, but they're a great alternative to carrying a sketchbook with you all the time, a watercolour sketchbook. Again, exactly the same as these Dibdals. They've got slightly harder cover and then a number of sheets that you can sketch on. I'm not sure how many sheets there are actually. Let's just see if it says 150 GSM. No, it doesn't actually say how many pages there are. Designed in Paris by Halle, it says. And I can demonstrate that by showing you, can't I? So that's the back cover, and then inside it reads comme ça. I love these. They go really well in my little A6 Paper Republic notebook, and they feel glorious to write on and sketch on, come to that. And then the other things are these. These are simple stapled notebooks, and they're plain. Now let me show you something. Because here I have one that I've already used, and you can see that I basically use it for really quick sketches, nothing sensible, nothing serious, just, oh, that's a good one. Little upside down dog lying in her bed. You see that? Hope you can see that. There's 2 ears, 2 paws, tummy, more paws. She does like lying on her back. And it's also acceptable for just quick sketches if you have the desire so to do. But I use these for daily little quick sketches, never mind, doesn't matter what, anything that appeals to me at that moment. You tend to find there's an awful lot of dog pictures in here because that's the sort of chap I am. And the nice thing is that they're very slim, they fit in the notebook, they take up very little space, and it means you've just got that chance of a little bit of additional quick sketching. So what I do tend to get through them, so I've ordered 2 packets of 2 each, so there's 4 of them there. And that is what I ordered. The total cost, I don't want to dwell on, but if you ever buy a Paper Republic, as I have, then you set up your own account and everything you see on their website is 20% off. So they're not cheap, they're certainly not cheap, but the quality of the paper and everything else makes them worthwhile. It's a bit like my William Hanna notebooks. The paper is so good that, yes, it's not the cheapest note-taking system, the William Hanna, but it's so good that it makes it worthwhile. That's what I keep telling myself. So, the other thing though, which I didn't pay for, last week, while minding my own business, I received something else from Paper Republic. It was a set of 3 different writing tools. This is one of them. This is their new little fountain pen. It comes in this lovely little sleeve, which is made of, I think, a form of canvas, not absolutely certain. And this is the fountain pen. You can see it is triangular. Now it's a small little pen. It's a nice size, it's a lovely weight. This is solid brass. And it's got a pull action to open it, and then it posts superbly, so you've got a full-size pen to write with. Now I have been using this for a few days, and I have to admit it is a glorious little pen to write with. Of course, to write you need to have some sensible paper to write on. So let's make a note, shall we? Here we go. What's the date? It is today, 24th October 25. And it writes really superbly well. Very, very smooth. It's a gorgeous, wet, medium nib, I would say. And it's not a Kaveco, which surprised me. It says Schmidt medium. And it has got a lovely little bit of scroll work on there. I don't know if you can see that perfectly because, of course, looking at my iPhone screen is not so easy. It is a Kolo, and the actual name, let me just check and make sure I get this right, is the Tino fountain pen from Kolo.com. Now, let's just describe it quickly. It is solid brass. What has it got? On the cap end, it is just polished brass sides. On the main body, you have these engravings. So you've got them angled that way, and then just vertical. Absolutely no idea what relevance that has to anything, but it just adds to the looks. And it does mean you've got something to grab hold of when you're pulling the cap off. At the end, you've got, I think, an aluminium button. I'm not absolutely certain. With, in the very top, a K for, I assume, Kolo, the company that seems to make them. Triangular sided, rather like one of the Faber-Castell type designs, with a nice rounded bullet front. Now it's quite a stiff connection because here there's a rubber ring which fits inside the cap end quite tightly. So you can definitely feel that there's friction trying to keep it on. When you post it, it's a very tight fit. Now, when I first saw this, my immediate reaction was, that edge there looks really sharp, and that's going to be painful. Actually, it isn't. I find that my forefinger rests on the edge of that slab. Don't know how to show this really. My forefinger rests on the top, not on the sharpened edge there, but alongside it. So I'm going along the flat edge to where the section is, and that is actually very comfortable. I find it quite heavy, but it's not unbalanced. It's a pleasant weight, and it seems to sit very well in the hand. How do you refill it? Well, you've got a long way to go to unscrew it all, but there you are. So this is just a simple tube of solid brass. The section is very slightly tapered. Not much, but it's enough. You can just feel it and see it. And beautiful screw threading. And it did come with a glorious little Kaveco universal cartridge. Now, this is obviously one of those things that's not going to be to everybody's taste. That big triangular section put my son off immediately, and he is a bit of a loony for anything to do with fountain pens. I brought him up well. But he was not taken by the looks. I have to admit, I rather love this. Why? This is not just a bog standard little pen. is it? Like, for one thing, there's no clip, so it's just a pocket pen. Just a pocket pen. I like pocket pens. I like Kavekos without clips. And if you're out and about and you put it on any surface, it's going to stay until it slides. It's going to stay there because it can't roll off. Absolutely no chance of that. I like the feel of it. Yes, it may not appeal to everyone, but it just has something amazingly tactile about it. That lovely rounded top, the smooth sides. There's something just really nice about it. I love the looks, capped or uncapped. I think it's very appealing. I rather like the fact it's got differentiation between the body and the cap end. It only comes in a medium, as far as I'm aware. Obviously that may change over time. But it's one of those, as I said, it's a quirky little thing. It wouldn't appeal to everybody. I love that little pocket it comes in. I like the looks. I definitely like the weight and the balance. And it's the sort of thing I can see carrying around with me almost every day. Very convenient having something that just takes ink cartridges, because so often I use, for example, my Pineda. Look at the size of that ink reservoir in there. It takes a long time to use up all that ink, and that means that I'm stuck with the same ink colour for a very long time. With an ink cartridge like this, you can buy a set of mixed diamine ink cartridges from, say, Cult Pens for very little money, and it means that you've got two of a number of different colours, which are very appealing. I like those little selections. But I think it's really rather beautiful. It handles well. I was astonished when I put the ink cartridge in for the very first time, not having rinsed it or washed it or anything. And it worked absolutely immediately. The feed system going through to the nib, they have got ironed out to perfection. And it has to be said, how many people are not going to be impressed by the sight of this? It's the sort of thing that becomes a real talking point wherever you go, isn't it? I like my Kavekos. I like my AL Sport. I like my brown one, my orange one. I've got lots of Kavekos, and they're very pleasant. But this is just that little bit more. There's something about the feel of that shape which is infinitely more appealing. No idea why. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just a weirdo who's got a fetish for brass. Quite possibly true. But I do think this is... I think it's probably already one of my favourite little pocket pens. I like my AL Sport. I like all the plastic ones, but this just has something more about it that is really appealing. Anyway, enough of me wittering. I've spoken for nearly 20 minutes. Hope you enjoyed that. If you want any more details, I'll put a link down the bottom. I'm not getting commissions for these or anything, but I'm just hugely impressed with this pen. Very grateful to Paper Republic for sending me one. And I can absolutely recommend Paper Republic, not just because they produce now delightful pens, but because they also produce absolutely wonderful books and notebooks. As I say, these are not the cheapest, but they're some of the very best quality you'll get your hands on. I love them, which is why I keep buying them. I don't get these for free, sadly. And I really like their way of working, their professionalism, and just basically how nice they are. It's an Austrian company, and it seems to be run by Jerome, who is a delightful looking fellow who spent a lot of years in business, and he decided to set up his own little firm making notebooks. Well, all I can say is I think he's done a fabulous job. And that's all for now, folks. So if you enjoyed that, please hit the like and subscribe and the bell for notifications. And if you want to, you can buy me a coffee. You can do anything you want, really. If you want to, you can even join my Patreon. But for now, enough of that guff. Thanks a lot for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, please come back next time and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks a lot. Take care.